Greetings, metaphysicians. This is episode 183, Pet Repair Tools. And for all of you pet lovers out there, this is the episode for you. It is all about the angelic reformation tools that were specifically designed for your pets. So listen in and enjoy the episode.
You're listening to Let's Get Metaphysical. This podcast explores the spiritual and metaphysical world through the experiences and opinions of the host and those interviewed. It should not necessarily be seen as direct endorsement or personal advice to our listeners. We encourage you to use your own discernment, judgment, and intuition regarding anything you learn from this show. The statements and advice offered in this podcast are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or medical condition, and are not substitutes for prudent medical care offered by licensed medical professionals. References to healing or treatments in this episode are describing faith-based blessings performed by God and the master healing angels. Neither this episode nor any part of it may be copied, transcribed, distorted, sold, republished, or distributed without first receiving the express written permission of both the CMA International Foundation and Up and Awaken Productions.
Let's get meta.
Welcome to the Let's Get Metaphysical podcast. I'm your host, Renata Maniaci. Here to remind you, not only are you having a temporary incarnation on planet Earth, so is your pet. That's right, your pet has an eternal soul, just like you. This is Season 8, Angelic Reformation, and this is Episode 183, Pet Repair Tools. This season is all about the body of knowledge known as Angelic Reformation. Angelic Reformation is what we call the tools, processes, and rapid spiritual development work that has been presented through the teacher, Master John Douglas, by his companions, the Master Angels. It is about the intentional, rapid evolution of your consciousness. It is a set of spiritual development tools that anyone can choose to use alongside any existing spiritual practice, religion, or tradition, if desired. And Angelic Reformation has tools specifically for your pets and animals. If you have not yet listened to the first 2 episodes for this season, please go ahead and listen to episode 168, Angelic Reformation, and episode 169, The Evolution of Consciousness, before listening into this one, as they will provide you with needed context for what we are talking about. Now, if you are ready, then let's get meta. Master Angels, I humbly request your presence, guidance, and support through this episode. Please help these words to be useful to all listeners on their evolutionary journey. Let me know the truth, speak the truth, become the truth, and be the truth. And please let this episode reach whoever needs to hear it. Thank you with full faith. Bless creation. Today we are talking about the pet repair tools. As stated in previous episodes, Angelic Reformation contains a few different aspects. The processes, which are MP3s that are listened to and rapidly develop one's consciousness in various areas. The events, such as the spring and fall tour events and the advanced knowledge course, which all convey innumerable healings and blessings for the attendees. And the tools, which are physical objects like the repair discs, the home harmony device, and the personal pendants, which are imbued with numerous and specific healing blessings to help us in various ways. So there are 2 Angelic Reformation tools that are specifically for pets. One is the Pet Repair Disc, which can be affixed to your pet's collar And if you listened into the previous episode, you can think of this tool as a personal pendant for your pet. Here is the description of the pet repair disc direct from the website, where it can be purchased at globalcma.org. Pets are often very aware with heightened senses. They are susceptible to strains on their physiology from the impulses around them, such as from other animals, sounds and frequencies in cities, or even electronic equipment in buildings. The master angels create an energetic matrix that disperses radiation, negative thoughts, and negative emotions from a pet's energy fields. They work with an animal's immune and nervous systems while balancing its hormones, emotions, and brain chemicals. This helps better care for the loving animals that we share our lives with to keep them healthy, happy, and vibrant. The other pet tool is the Pet Food and Body Repair Disc. Us humans have a separate food disc and body disc that are two different discs, but these were made into one disc for our pets. Here's the description of the Pet Food and Body Repair Disc direct from the website where it can be purchased. Animals can often suffer from aches, pains, bruises, and infections. The food they eat influences their health and well-being. The master angels can purify the food and water to be consumed by a pet. They also address injuries, blood infections, respiratory infections, and suffering caused by old age. And these two tools, again, one is worn on the collar or elsewhere on the pet as makes sense for you and your pet. And the other is a disc, much like the size of the body repair disc that we talked about. It is smaller than a food repair disc from the other episodes, and that can be placed underneath a food bowl, in a dog bed, for example, a cat bed, so that the animal's food is being purified, food and water, and also they can be sleeping or laying with this tool to help their bodies. And now I will play a few testimonials from our pet lovers who use these pet repair tools.
Hi, this is Liz. I'm going to tell you about my dog, Buffy. Buffy was a 14-year-old white poodle. She had breast cancer, and then the vet told us she now had congestive heart failure. And we had done everything we know to do. We tried diuretics, and the diuretics were shutting down her kidneys. And we had recently purchased a food repair disc from Master John Douglas that we put under our food to sterilize and clear it. And I had the thought that maybe I should just try putting it in her bed and see if it would at least help her. So we put it in her bed, and every day she slept on it. And then she started getting smaller because she was very blown up from excess weight. And 3 months later, when Master John showed up and looked at her, he said her heart was back to 95% normal. Wow. And she basically, the masters had cured her through the food disc. And that was the beginning of the pet discs that then were created for their health and well-being. And I celebrate my dog, Buffy, who lived 3 more years very happily. And she was the beginning of a miracle for all pets.
I'm going to read an email testimonial that was sent in. Hi, I'm Melody, living in Boone, North Carolina. I've been using the angelic reformation tools since 2009. My 17-year-old cat developed a bacterial infection. He had a high fever and was in pain. I placed the body disc underneath him, and he was comfortable enough to sleep. His medication was very strong and could only be taken for 3 days, and the vet suggested I put the pill in a high-quality ice cream. I did this and placed the ice cream on the pet food repair disc, and he ate every drop and was recovered by the 3rd day. Thank you, Master John, for the use of these pet tools.
Hi, my name is Mojan, and I live in Los Angeles, California. In 2021, I had my very first experience with an angelic tool that was an instant miracle. My beloved dog Hartley had mitral valve degeneration, and cardiologists told me he only had a few months to live. I purchased the pet pendant and submitted a few SFRs for him. Hartley lived an additional 3 years after his first diagnosis. He had 10 heart failures and survived them all. The cardiologist had zero explanation as to how he kept surviving them. I, of course, knew the power of the Master Angels and the love and healing they brought into our lives. I am forever grateful to Master John and the Master Angels for those extra years with my precious dog. Thank you so much.
My name is Nikki, and I purchased a pet pendant for all of my animals. One Saturday morning, I came in to see my Yorkie boy vomiting, and I thought immediately, oh gosh, it's a frog. I just knew it because he really likes to chase frogs and lizards, and I just knew that one of the poisonous frogs had gotten into the house. I live in Florida, and it's just, and I have ponds all around me, so I have frogs everywhere. And so I comforted him and helped him to clear the foam from his mouth. And I thought, oh boy, this is the end. Because if you don't get these dogs to the vet in time, it literally is within 2 hours. They pass, they go into seizure, and that's it. And lo and behold, after I cleared the foam from his mouth and held him for just a little bit, he seemed to be okay. And we went for a walk, and he was fine. And it was the pet pendant. The pet pendant had transmuted the poison in him and saved his life. The pet pendant is like a programmed disc that the dogs wear around their necks. There's also a food and body disc that is separate for cleansing their food. But it does just that. It transmutes poisons. It transmutes things that are not healthy for the pet if they've ingested or come across. And it just helps balance their systems and protects them in many ways. It was a lifesaver for my little boy.
A big thank you to Liz, Melody, Mojan, and Nikki for sharing their experiences with us. Thank you, thank you. And I just want to add a quick word about Liz. I'm not sure if you caught this with her testimonial, but Liz is perhaps the longest angelic reformation tool user, especially in regards to using them for pets. And it is Liz and her pets, Liz and Barry's pets, who inspired Master John and the angels to create pet-specific discs. So we're so happy to have had that shared experience from Liz. It's really incredible that she thought to use the food disc, the body discs that we have for ourselves, for humans, and then those later were transformed into specific pet tool discs and pendants. So thank you, Liz, from all of us who have ever benefited from these pet tools, or for our friends and family who have as well. And I want to take a minute also just to acknowledge these are angelic reformation's specific pet tools, yes, but the other processes and tools and events also help the pets directly or indirectly. And in fact, I have an episode 43, Miracles with Pets. So this is over 100 episodes ago, which is crazy to think about for me personally. But in that episode, I document, I believe it's 8 different miracles that pets have experienced through the angelic reformation tools. So not just specific to these 2 tools that I'm focusing on here in this episode, but also including other tools like the silent faith remote blessings the processes themselves, literally like spirit repair, relationship development, these processes that we as humans listen to, but are no less effective on our pets. Also, miracles, some of those people shared from the events themselves. They had a personal session with Master John and asked about an issue that a pet was going through, whether it was an illness. One of the people shared that their cat was lost, and Master John was able to see, okay, the cat is still in the neighborhood and will be back soon. He's just off having an adventure. And sure enough, that cat showed up within the week, perfectly fine from its adventure. So not only are these 2 discs incredible for your pets, but just having these tools in, on, and around you help your pets as much as they are helping you. And we've had so many stories and testimonials of people who listen to the events online. Many of the events through this community, most of them, in fact, can be listened to remotely. We're about to go into our 2025 fall tour, for example. And in fact, we just had that first event a few days ago. But throughout these events, if you're listening to them out loud, we have been told over and over by people who have pets that their pets come and sit in the room and listen along to these events. Listen, I guess that's anthropomorphizing, but behave in ways that they don't necessarily behave in without these processes and events playing. They are drawn to this work. They are probably able to see and sense and feel the angels more acutely than we are with our human senses. We have so many stories and experiences of people who their animals just come in and lay with them the entire time the event is, or fall asleep with them. And then as soon as the event's over, get up and go away. It's pretty amazing. And I have a few experiences with pets as well in this capacity. I do not have any pets myself, but I have seen firsthand what the pet tools can do with both friends' pets and specifically my mom's dog, who passed away a few years ago now at the age of 17 and a half. And that dog wore the pet pendant. I call it the pet pendant, but it's the pet repair disc. His whole, maybe not his whole life, but since we started with these kinds of angelic reformation tools. And he listened to all the remote events along with my mom and was the recipient of Silent Faith remote blessings when needed in his life. And I've just seen so many times how the pet tools and the non-pet specific tools helped this particular dog. I had another friend take in a stray, a rescue dog, and this dog came in quiet and scared and jumpy, especially that first night, and I happened to be there. And we played the spirit repair process, and she fell asleep immediately through that process. And it just, you saw her whole demeanor change as spirit repair was playing. And that's only a 10, 11-minute process, and she fell asleep. And everything changed, and she has just benefited so much from the processes, all of the tools, and listens into the events. And she is a completely different dog right now. You would never know that she was a street dog before for most of her life. Now, these tools are interesting, and like using the other tools, such as the personal pendants, the food disc, and some of these other tools, we don't know what would have happened if we did not use them, right? And that is one of the things that people can point to about some of the things in this body of knowledge. We don't know what would have happened if you were not wearing the pendant, if your animal was not wearing their pet repair disc, if you had not used the food disc under that plate of food. And sometimes that's what I mean, that is also where the faith portion of this comes in, but it's really not all faith. There are enough testimonials and stories and experiences. And throughout this series, I'm trying to share testimonials with you that show that something did happen. And it's through what people come forward to share their experiences. But there are stories where this person used a food disc for the same meal that their neighbor did not, and the neighbor got ill. There are experiences and testimonials where you can see that something is clearly happening to the person that used the tool in comparison to a person that did not use that tool or receive that blessing, etc. But a lot of this work, a lot of these tools and this knowledge is characterized by an internal sense of knowing that something has happened, especially if it's you, especially if it's your human self using these tools, right? Our pets don't have the exact same way of communicating and knowing, or at least expressing their knowing in the ways that we do. But we have a special connection to our pets and animals. And through that, so many people know that this particular thing helped their pet. They know that getting a Silent Faith remote for their cat after it was attacked by a coyote, as is the case in episode 43, that first Miracles with Pets episode that I did so long ago, that cat owner knows that Silent Faith remote saved her cat's life, right? And these different pieces. I know that Spirit Repair was doing something for this rescue dog. I saw it with my own eyes. I felt it. I know it. And so, like these tools, yes, not everything is a visual set of proof. Often it is. Often it is like night and day. But there is a knowing, there is a feeling, there is a shift, there is a transformation that can be seen, felt, and known with these tools. Both the Pet Repair Disc, which is that personal pendant for your pet to wear, and the Pet Food and Body Repair Disc cost $150. They never stop working. They are continually added to and updated when appropriate by the Master Angels without needing to purchase another. Purchasing a pet repair disc or pet pendant also includes a link to a more in-depth talk called A Guide to the Personal Pendant and Pet Disc, explaining the pet pendant and what it does, which I highly recommend listening to. Master John Douglas is the living conduit, bringing these spiritual technologies from the Master Angels and the divine into physical form here on planet Earth. So there really is no better person to hear from regarding the proper use of these tools. And speaking of hearing from Master John, as I briefly mentioned before, we are right now going into our 2025 fall tour. It is called the Divine Light Tour, and the grand majority of it can be listened to, can be tuned in remotely. The next event is on November 1st, 2025. So I know that this is time specific, of course, but for those of you who are listening to this season and are interested in learning more about these events, this body of knowledge, go to globalcma.org and look into our tour events. Maybe you would like to join in and listen to one. We just had an amazing teleseminar. I'm not actually sure if you can purchase that and listen to the replay, but it was so very powerful that I highly recommend it. And it was an excellent introduction into this work. And you hear Master John speak himself. And again, no better person to hear all of this from. So if you are interested in that, you can go to globalcma.org, and there's a button you can press about the tour, the fall tour, and you can find your way from there and join in on one of the events and see if you are called towards this work, towards this knowledge. I am going to leave it there for today. Again, if you're interested in looking into these tools, finding out more, or joining into an event on the fall tour that will take place for about the next 2 months, it'll end just before Christmas and usually has events on Saturdays and Sundays. You can visit globalcma.org to find out more about all of that. These angelic reformation tools are available to anyone interested. There are no exclusions. Use your own discernment. If this is a body of knowledge that is calling to you, there's probably a reason for that. Finally, for this episode, if you feel called to leave a positive review of the Let's Get Metaphysical podcast, please do. You can leave a 5-star review with a positive word or two on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really does help bring the episode to the people that need to hear it. As always, thank you so much for listening. Stay positive, stay safe, and stay meta.
The Let's Get Metaphysical podcast is an Up, and Awaken production and is produced and hosted by Renata Maniaci. Our intention is to raise the vibration of the planet by sharing, validating, and normalizing spiritual and metaphysical experiences. The Let's Get Meta podcast is inspired by angels and supported by angels. If you would like to be a patron angel of the podcast, visit patreon.com/letsgetmeta. Thank you for listening. Stay meta.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.